Hello, everyone. How are you today? When we look at our sales funnel, start with turning unaware people into our customer leads. These are the unaware people, right? People that are not familiar with our product or our value proposition statement, but we consider them as leads, people that may be interested, right? Who may want to be or may be interested in purchasing. They would be leads. We consider them as leads. All right. And here's a really nice example of a sales funnel. Amazon has tweaked their sales funnel slightly. Here we have interest, and then they have consideration, intent, and evaluation for the desire portion of it. So they break it down in 3 additional segments instead of the 1. Under lead nurturing. So they're nurturing that lead. They're making them want to desire it until they make that purchase. So that's an interesting way to view it, where you're breaking it down even further and making your or taking a closer look at your customer segment and having them come down that funnel. When we think about conversions, it's really any customer movement down the funnel for a sale. So, and it is, our final goal is to make that sale. Also consider throughput. Customer throughput is another term for having the customer go down that funnel to actually making a sale. Now, we can also think of financial projections. We call financial projections pro formas, and those is the top of the funnel numbers as well. Let's take a look at, if we want to make a certain amount of money or we want a certain amount of customers, then how do we determine how many leads we need in order to satisfy that targeted pro forma amount that we're looking for? So here in this particular case, we're looking to earn $500,000 in this particular year. And we know that in order to earn 500,000 in revenue, we would need to find 1,000 customers paying $500. They pay, this particular product costs $500 per customer. So we know that we need 1,000 customers in order to earn the $500,000 in revenue for a particular year. So then what does that tell us with how many leads we need to generate? So it's leads broken down to prospects and then the customers. Now, this is just a 2% change, but it's still, that's quite a bit that you need to focus on. So it is a good way to think about the funnel in reverse. We're looking at, we want 500,000, we want 1,000 customers. How do we go about going backwards for our funnel to find out we have 5,000 people that have interest and desire, but how many do we need to attract attention? 50,000 in this scenario. So we can work that way backwards with other scenarios as well. Seeing how we're making products available, we want to nurture those leads. Looking at the Amazon model of the sales funnel is might be a way to think about nurturing them differently and converting them to prospects. Thinking about different selling tactics that we've gone over in this case study, as well as the prior case study on GoPro. We can think about those particular kind of tactics to convert prospects to customers or leads to customers. And we want to certainly ensure our customer satisfaction. I think that's really important. We all are aware of that. Important to make sure we have happy customers and generating referrals, right? So keeping them in that customer factory. So as far as advertising channels, we can think about paid engines of growth. Certainly there are many ways that we can pay for advertising, but there are many organic ways to grow. And we certainly want to consider the organic and keep our business in a good organic position before we even start investing in paid. People search Amazon to look for look for things as much as they search for Google now. Um, so Amazon really has come into a place of its own. Passive customers, we have people who really are just like browsing the website and they're not really looking for something, and then they may find you, or they're maybe watching the mixture of both. Here, for an example, a game and noticing an ad for a basketball product. So we have the active purchaser who's, if I need a plumber, I'm on Google searching for a plumber. I'm actively searching. I need to find a plumber now, and I'm going to hire a plumber because I need one right now because I have an emergency situation. The passive, not really, but okay, I see something, and then there's a mixture of both. So we also have different ways of targeting customers, right? We have print media, which is largely falling off. There's still some. I still enjoy reading a newspaper. The hard copy keeps me away from Twitter a little bit because I spend so much time there. So it is a relief on the eyes to read a newspaper. And there are many people, depending on your customer segment, that might be something you may want to consider if your audience still reads newspapers. And of course, we have digital, image, video, text, whatnot, and then we have digital voice. Podcasts can be a good way of advertising as well. We have different advertising channels, our reach, our engagement, ones that are taking some action, and the click-through rate should be at least 3 times the cost of acquiring that customer. This is an important concept, and it is something to think about for the Hilux case study, because this is one of the questions in the assignment. So you want to think about that. I mentioned the Facebook Pixel. We have Google Analytics as well to help us looking and at our the placement of ads in Google as well as Facebook, Instagram. There are other sources out there as well, but you want to try to monitor your the amount of people that are coming down your funnel, right? So you want to see how many people are coming to your website, how many of them are or appear to be interested, how many of them bounce off. So you want to gather that data that helps you to make some good educated decisions. So I want to categorize. So maybe we group people coming from specific areas. And this is also very helpful because we can see what areas grow more than others, or what are generating more customers going down that funnel than other areas. So that can be a good tool to help us focus more attention in an area that is more profitable. So we have organic search, and I love organic, especially in the beginning. Social media posts, a blog, just very much get engaged in the social media. Email, well, there's a slight cost to email, but very minimal and very good once you have a good email base. And then, of course, SEO. We want to also consider waste. When we're having some waste or we're having some blockage, we want to issues, eliminating waste in this particular scenario with the customer factory. So here, usually the waste is in this particular area here, right after the value proposition where we have not yet converted them to a customer, right? They're still hanging around in this interest desire section. They haven't even really stepped over in desire. So we want to find out what's going on here. How can we measure and fix that problem? We want to consider the source of waste or the source of the problem, external areas that we really have very little control over, the market or areas within the market, many different areas in there. It could be political, it could be supply chain, it could be many different things along the way, external from our business. But internal, we do have the control, and we want to pay close attention. So we have physical and policy internal constraints that we want to focus on. Physical, we're looking at, well, time, money, people, equipment, the raw materials, and so forth, physical, tangible items. And then we have the policies, maybe the mindset with the methods, the measurements. Measurements crucially important. We want to keep good measurement, good resources, and measure as we move along.